Well, folks, it's been a long road. It's been a dang long road. Back in 2008, I decided to start taking money serious, and I began my money journey after getting done graduating high school. My net worth back then was about $500 to my name. Fast forward to 2010, I actually got my first good job in 2010. My net worth when I got that job was probably about $6,000 at that time. Fast forward to 2013, January 2013, I moved out to Charlotte, North Carolina. And at that time, my net worth was up to about $50,000. So we were starting to roll a little bit. 2015, my net worth was up to $200,000. And that's when I moved to Vegas. 2018, I officially became a millionaire. In 2020, I officially became a multimillionaire. And as I do say, it does get a lot easier to kind of start running up the millions once you get that first million. 2025, I stopped counting, man. My 10-year-old, he asked me, he said, "Dad, how much you worth?" And I said, "Honestly, son, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I could spend the time and run the calculations, but I don't even know." Okay. In this video here today, folks, I got 3 core things I'm going to take you through in this one. First thing is, I'm going to show you in detail my $3 million plus public account. And I'm going to talk about some changes that are going to be coming to that portfolio, some stocks I'm going to be buying, selling, things like that, okay? Second thing we're going to get into is my rapidly growing Patreon portfolio and what changes I'm thinking of making there, which that portfolio is now up to a little under $40,000. So very, very happy with how that one's been building out. And then the third thing I'm going to show you guys here today, first time in history, I'm going to actually show you one of my private portfolios. Everybody's always curious, like, oh, what's in Jeremy's private portfolio? So I'm going to show you one of those portfolios, a 7-figure portfolio here today, and I'll show you screenshots and we'll talk about what's in that portfolio. So should be a fun video here today, guys, and you get to see something you never got to see before. So appreciate y'all for being here. One thing only I need from you guys. Smash that like button. Hit that like button for me. That's all I need from you. That's all. I appreciate you for being here. If you want to subscribe to the channel, you can certainly subscribe. We are now at a new all-time high subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here, okay? Alrighty, let's get rolling. First up, a $3,080,000 account. $3 million, okay? Listen, this portfolio started back in 2018 in the private group. And why I wanted to start this portfolio is, when I got started in the stock market, I read a lot of investing books, things like that, right? But there was no such thing as like me getting to see like what that person I was reading and being educated by, like what are they actually buying? What are they selling, right? How do they actually invest, right? Because it's one thing to teach, it's another to teach and also show, right? And so I thought like this would be fun. This would be really, really interesting to like show exactly what I'm investing in. People be able to track the moves every single week. And that's what I've been doing since 2018. And everybody in the private group has gotten to see every step, every single week, all the buys and sells. And now at this point in time, $3 million plus portfolio. So it's come a long way. In terms of what Fidelity Investments calculates our percentage return, it calculates it at 24% per year over the past 5 years. That's versus 15% for the S&P 500 and versus a negative return for the bond index there, which is unbelievable, right? A 1 year has been really, really phenomenal, 38% return versus 12% for the S&P, right? And the 5-year return, I'm really, really, really proud of that one because in 2022, I messed up in a huge way. And so even with my massive mistakes in 2022, still absolutely destroying the market. So very, very, I guess you can say fortunate in regards to that matter, okay? So let's go ahead and look at the portfolio. Let's talk about these stocks. Let's talk about some changes that could be coming, things like that, okay? So right up the top here, right? Meta's the biggest big dog position of them all, right? Meta's the big dog, $1 million plus position in here. I don't love how heavy of a weight it is. I'll just be honest with you guys. I mean, a 32% weight is not ideal. It's not ideal at all. But with that being said, if you think about Meta, they're diversified across several different platforms. So it's not like, I'd feel differently about Meta if it was only Facebook, or if it was only Instagram, or if it was only WhatsApp, or if it was only the VR opportunity or the AI opportunity, right? Meta's a massive company with huge different properties that remain key in people's lives. So it makes me feel comfortable. Additionally, the income statement's top tier at Meta. Additionally, the balance sheet's top tier at Meta, right? So that makes me feel at least pretty comfortable. If I'm going to have a 32% weighting of a position, a portfolio, at least it's that. The other thing that keep in mind here is the gains on Meta are $818,000. So it's not like I put in just some crazy amount of money to Meta. It was just that it appreciated a great deal, right? Additionally, let me show you something else in regards to Meta. So when you look at Meta's valuation here on 1000xstocks.com, right? The forward P's in the 20s, and Meta comes in and beats their numbers all the time. So the reality forward P is probably 20 or 21 right now, which for a company that has double-digit top-line, bottom-line growth, that's not high for Meta, right? That's not high at all. You look at the charts feature here on Meta, I mean, does it get better than that? Does it get better than that? Phenomenal. Great margins at this company. Net margins recently in the last 3 quarters, 38%, 43%, 39%. Those are amazing net margins. We could be talking about Meta's about to go 40% plus net margins and be there for a long, long time to go in the future, right? The earnings per share just continues to climb. The company's been spending fortunes of money in regards to investing into the business for this next huge AI opportunity, which, my best guess is it's a better investment than buying back shares of the stock right now. But at some point in time, like Meta, it's going to make sense for them to do massive share buybacks. I don't know when that is. Maybe it's a couple years from now, maybe it's 5 years from now, maybe it's 10 years from now. But at some point in time, it'll make sense for them to start just deploying tons of their capital back into buying back stock. But, everything across the board is phenomenal in regards to Meta. If you run projections on this stock, even with very, very modest numbers on Meta, like you don't have to go big here. And this is good for everybody to know, like Meta's still a buy. Like you see all the gains I have in Meta stock. It's phenomenal, right? $818,000. The bottom line is Meta's still a buy today. I can show you. So, what's a assumption that we could probably run with revenue growth for the next few years? 15%, fairly realistic, right? And you can say maybe it'll be a little worse than that, maybe be a little better than that. 20% bottom line growth, if they're doing 15%, is pretty realistic here, right? So you run 20s across the board, and then we go ahead and we say a 25 to a 30p is pretty fair for Meta overall, given, you could say that's undervalued, honestly, given the growth rates of this company. So we'll run 30s here, and you'll get to see exactly why this stock is still, look at the returns the stock's going to likely provide over the next few years, assuming these cases are right. And once again, you could take it down a bit. If you want to run this as a bull case and then run a base case on 1000x and do those numbers at like a 13% and do a bear case at like 8% or 10% revenue growth, you can do that. But if you just run 15% revenue growth, once again, not a crazy number. Remember, on a constant currency basis, Meta in their last quarter just grew 19%. So we're talking about a big deceleration here, even with this assumption. That puts the stock, in 2027, 2 years from now, at $1,000 plus pretty much, right? Gives you a great compounding annual growth rate. If you look at 2029, it puts the stock somewhere between about $1,400 and, we can call it about $1,700. So the moral of the story is in regards to Meta, like I don't love that it's a huge position in the public count, but at the end of the day, the stock's still a buy. It's still one of this, if you're going to say of the individual stocks, you got to say they're probably one of the 20 or 30 safest companies to invest in because their business is so diversified and their financials so good, right? AMD's climbed rapidly to a huge position in the public count, 9% weighting. And listen, here's the difference between AMD, Meta, Palantir, Amazon, and these other stocks, right? AMD, I put a crazy amount of money into that one, right? And it hasn't run yet. If and when AMD does go on its run, which my personal belief is AMD's already started the run actually started in April, and I think is going to go on a multi-year run. That does not mean every single day is going to be up for AMD or every single week or every single month. But the overall trend for AMD stock, in my opinion, for the next several years is going to be up and to the right and up and to the right. So AMD, like how big do I think this position is going to get in the public account? I think it's going to become massive. I think this is going to become like, I wouldn't be surprised if AMD a few years from now is, at least a 15% weighting in the portfolio, if not over 20% of the portfolio. Based upon the run, I believe AMD is going to go on, because if you want to know, like, what do I see AMD stock at 3 years from now? The answer is I see AMD probably being $300 plus a share if we're, fast forward 3 years from now. So, and you say, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's 200. It's a lot higher than it is today, right? And so could AMD ultimately become a position that's an $800,000, $700,000, $900,000 position in this portfolio? It could over this next few years. If they execute the way I think they're going to execute, and Lisa Su pulls this thing off the way I think she's going to, and the positioning of the company, I think there's a long runway of growth in regards to AMD, and AMD's not at a rich valuation, man. It's not, and you can run projections. Run your projections on AMD, and you'll see like this stock is valued pretty good here. 29 forward P, given the growth rates AMD should experience. Like, we're going to be talking about a company that's probably going to be growing, my guess is 30% revenues per year for the next many years, right? You're going to say low end 20%. So AMD looking phenomenal. Palantir, listen, man. Listen, Palantir, obviously the valuation's ridiculous. We all know that, right? We all know that. With that being said, let's just go away from the valuation discussion for a minute. A forward P of 200 plus, right? Let's just separate that. Let's just talk about Palantir straight up. Phenomenal income statement. Their margins are skyrocketing. Their revenue's skyrocketing. Their profits are skyrocketing. Not like they're going up. Not like, oh, they have good growth. No. They're skyrocketing. They're like on a whole different stratosphere. Like, you can't even really compare them versus any other public companies because they're so ridiculous in terms of their growth rates, right? Top tier balance sheet at that company. Given the size of the company, the balance sheet's insane. They're going to throw off ridiculous sums of cash over this next 5 to 10 years, which means they can use that cash to buy out other companies, or if they just want to build out new services and products and whatnot, they can do that. If they want to do insane share buybacks over this next 5 to 10 years, they can do that. There's so much optionality with the business. And the business is so well positioned for this next decade. So if we could just put valuation aside, and if you just looked at everything else with Palantir, oh, by the way, and they got a CEO that's as focused can be over there with Alex Karp, right? You will see this is one of the best companies in the world right now. One of the best in the world, the way they're executing. But the valuation is insane. So that's the tough part with Palantir. And that's why the only thing somebody could poke at with Palantir at this point in time is the valuation. So I can understand people looking at Palantir and being like, man, that's a great business. Phenomenal. Like, I wish I owned stock, but I'm not going to buy it because of valuation. Respect. I could also understand people that do own the stock right now saying, man, I love the way they're executing. I love the way they run the business. But you know what? I'm going to cash some shares because the valuation is just so dang insane that they've priced in so much growth in future years. That's fair as well, right? But that's the only thing you can say about Palantir is valuation. So, at some point in time, Palantir will end up trading at a more fair valuation, but you don't know when that is. Like, maybe that's years from now. That could be years from now, right? Amazon's next one up here. Listen, if you want to know, is Amazon stock a buy right now? Listen, abso-dang-lutely. Amazon's a buy yesterday. It's a buy tomorrow. It's a buy today. It was a buy 6 months ago. It's a buy 6 years from now. Like, Amazon's a buy, okay? If you run projections on Amazings on here, you can see this company, at the end of the day, it's a moneymaker. So in terms of PE ratio for Amazon, this is a stock that usually, you got to figure you're going to pay at least a 30 to a 40 P ratio for the stock. Sometimes it can push 50 plus. I've seen it actually many times it pushes 50 plus. And when it comes to revenue growth for Amazon, I think around a 12% number is very fair to assume Amazon will be growing top line. Bottom line, I would push them way up to probably I would push them to 20 or 22% net income growth because they're going to get a lot of bottom line leverage over the coming years, right? Which puts the stock come 2029 at somewhere between about $400 and we call it about $540, which gives you a compounding annual growth rate on the low end of about 19% and on the high end of about 28%, right? So at the end of the day, Amazon is a amazing buy, right? PayPal, next up here, like PayPal's just valuation. It's just very attractive on a valuation basis. There's really nothing else to say about it. Cake is a growth demon that is priced so dang cheap. And when I say growth demon, what I mean with this company is they have the next 10 plus years of growth like on lockdown, basically. I think you're going to see accelerating growth rates for this company for the next several years. And I think they're talking about, I believe they want to open up about 25 restaurants this year. I think they're going to be able to push that number to 30 to 40 next year, probably 50 plus after that. So my opinion is you're getting I view Cake for this next 5 to 10 years as a growth company, as a growth stock. I believe I'm just early in regards to calling it that. And I think you're going to see other people call it that as these years tick on. And they're going to be like, oh, shoot, man, they got several different restaurant concepts that are popping off and like getting, massive amounts of reviews and success. And like they're always busy and things like that. And so we've got what I view as a growth company moving forward, trading at value dividend stock pricing. You're looking at a forward P of 12 to 14 range on this company. Like, come on, man. And they also pay a sweet dividend. So I get to make money from the stock going up. I get to make money from just collecting that dividend here. And so, I can sleep very well holding Cake stock, right? Celsius is really exciting this year. And the reason being is I'm expecting their core business to get back to very nice growth in the back half of this year. And then the Lonnie deal's obviously gone through now, so you're going to start to see those numbers start to hit. So Celsius is going to be very fun in regards to revenue growth, starting even the next quarter, in regards to seeing that number and skyrocketing. Margins and profitability are going to be more of the story next year, and especially the back half of next year. So right now we're about to go into a revenue growth cycle again, very exciting. And then I think we're going to start to go into a margin cycle, profitability cycle in regards to Celsius. Nike. Hey man, let's talk Nike. Listen, I'm 0% worried about Nike. 0%. 0%. Everything I'm seeing from Elliott Hill and the management team there since he took back over the ship, it's all pointing in the right direction when it comes to Nike. I am 0% worried. I think Nike's going to be a sweet moneymaker. And the thing I like about Nike is I like to hold some stocks in a portfolio that I could feel comfortable holding for years to go in the future. Not like I feel comfortable holding the stock for the next, 12 months. No, I want a stock that I feel comfortable holding 5, 10, 15 years from now. Nike's absolutely one of those companies. As Estee Lauder is as well, EL stock, right? Neither of those stocks have gone on a run yet. So EL stocks are 3.6% weighting in the portfolio. Nike's 5% weighting. Wait till those ones go on their run and see how big the weightings of those ones actually get. Those ones, you just got to be patient with these turnaround companies. You got to be patient with them. At the end of the day, EL owns some of the best brands in makeup, perfume, cosmetics, right? Nike is a one-on-one freak anomaly brand that is just generational. So both those I have full confidence in. Adobe, just a kind of an easy money maker. Adobe, at the end of the day, they have all their subscription products. They just they're like a SaaS-like business, right? They got the recurring revenue streams that just keep coming through. It's beautiful. Forward P of 20 on this baby with double-digit top-line, bottom-line growth. It's easy. It's easy. It's an easy buy, man. Some stocks you just are very easy buys, not stressful at all. And that's Adobe, which is also like Google, right? Google's the same exact situation. Like, I understand everybody's worried about ChatGPT and what LLMs mean for Google and how Gemini is going to compete in that space over the next 10 years. I'm 0% worried. 0%. I don't, doesn't stress me out. Elf on a shelf, right? Higher risk, higher reward. But man, if you want to talk about a company that's executed as well as any company in the world, I'm not talking in just makeup beauty. I'm talking, if you want to talk about one of the best companies of executing for the past 5 years in the world, look no further than Elf. No, analysts are under this assumption that growth is going to be hard to come by for this company for the next year and a half. I don't believe that's going to be the situation. I think Elf's going to put up very good growth. Do I think they're going to put up the insane growth rates when they were growing like 80%, 70%? No. But I think they're still going to put up strong double-digit growth. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I hold this is, you got to look longer term with these sorts of companies. You got to, in my opinion, a generational brand here in makeup and cosmetics. You don't throw out those babies. You don't throw out those babies, okay? Next up here, SoFi. This is a 2% weighting in the portfolio, $65,000 position. In regards to SoFi, we're talking about bank, fintech of now and the future, right? I like the way they're positioned. I like Anthony Noto. I like the way he's running that company. There could be a buyout candidate over the next few years. I wouldn't be surprised if a bigger bank tries to gobble him up. I hope they don't get gobbled up because I think they're on the path to become a financial giant. And I think that's what they could pull off over this next decade, right? And so I like to be invested into a financial giant, and I'm glad I got to 5,000 shares in the public count. Fubo, obviously higher risk stock, certainly, right? Streaming player, as long as that Disney deal goes through, banger, man. Very, very excited about that. That should go through later this year. It's always a potential it doesn't go through, and that would be, no bueno. But the balance sheet's looking in the best place it's looked in many, many years. The losses have been cut down immensely. They're talking about getting to profitability sooner rather than later. And then that Disney deal goes through, like, sleeper. It's a sleeper $3 stock, but don't be surprised if that one's, if we fast forward a few years from now, don't be surprised if it's a lot higher than that. Honest, another kind of sleeper stock here, 1.7% of the portfolio, 11,211 shares. Here, $54,000 position in the public count. I mean, you talk about a company that's just executing on a very high level. Honest is one of the most well-run companies the past, I would say, year and a half of any small cap company you will find in the entire stock market. Phenomenal. Revolve here, up 51% on this one, $52,000 position. Revolve, great management team there, great income statement, great balance sheet. I like that one a lot. Their profitability is coming back very, very quickly. The Planet's just kind of like a, speculative. We're just kind of waiting to see there. A little bit more of a lottery ticket stock. That's why it's 0.7% of the portfolio. Nothing too serious in regards to that one. So, that portfolio in total is up $1,273,000, and that's just on the positions I hold in there. Never mind the insane amount of profits, which I've taken hundreds of thousands of dollars of profit this year. I took hundreds of thousands of dollars of profits last year. So, portfolio is just a banger. But, if you want to see this portfolio and the moves I make every single week, you can join my private stock group. You can apply to join there. Pin comment down there, fill out a form. Additionally, you don't just get to see what stocks am I buying and selling each week in the $3 million account. You also get access to my entire library of premium courses, Become a Master Stock Market, Millionaire Playbook, Stock Options Mastery, Dividend Investing Mastery. You get access to my full Discord community with 6, 7, 8-figure members, right? As well as myself. And you can get access to 1000xstocks.com. We can bundle it all together. Okay, so that will be the pinned comment down there. Let's take your game up to a much higher level than where you're at. Okay, so next up here, Patreon portfolio. So if you don't know the origin story in regards to Patreon portfolio, the origin story around this was, I was thinking the public account started to build to such big numbers over time, right? That for newer investors, the public account isn't very relatable anymore. Even you see it at $3 million, and, there's people that watch my channel that, have 10, 20, $50 million net worths. So it's relatable to them, but that's, a very small amount of people. The much larger amount of people that watch my channel probably have stock market portfolios between $50,000 and about $250,000, right? And then I got a whole other segment of people that watch my channel that their stock market portfolios might be, $5,000, $10,000, right? And so to see a $3 million portfolio, it's exciting and it's like goals, but at the same time, it's a little unrelatable, right? And so what I want to do with the Patreon is show that you can build a portfolio actually rather quickly through smaller amounts of money if you know what you're doing, right? And so I started this portfolio in around January 2023, right? And I started with just $150 deposit a week, right? And then bumped it up at some point in 2024 to $250 a week, and we've been keeping it at $250 a week ever since, right? And now the portfolio is almost $38,000, phenomenal, almost $38,000, right? And so everybody's getting to see this. The 1-year return on this baby is 37% versus S&P 500 is at 12%. So when it comes to Patreon portfolio, this is kind of a little bit of some could argue that this portfolio might even be more well constructed than the public account. But keep in mind, it's a relatively newer portfolio since it started in 2023, right? But Palantir is ridiculous. Palantir's gotten us a 1,100% gain in this portfolio, and it became the biggest weighting in the portfolio of 14.6%. AMD's next up. That one's at 10% weighting there, right? 1% up. We're on that stock. Shopify, we're up 53% on, up $1,200. $3,600 position. By the way, Shopify, I don't own this one in the public count. I love Shopify, man. Love Shopify. I mean, this company's growth is just so consistent, so phenomenal when it comes to this one. Like, they just put up their numbers and put up their numbers and put up their numbers. I don't know what happened to my Shopify here. My shop. Where's my shop at? Is my shop not popping up? I might need to address this in 1000X. We might have an issue with shop ticker symbol. There we go. We got it. Okay. Thought we had an issue with it. So, but look at this chart. You're going to see a better chart than that? Like, look at this. This is where shop's been growing at. Boom, 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 boom. This is where they're at right now. And this is where they're headed. Likely, of course, right? Based upon kind of analyst estimates here. Does it get better than that? Seriously, does it get better than that? Like, that's as perfect can be. And how many companies really can say that, right? Now, when it comes to shop, obviously the profitability is, in my opinion at least, going to increase rapidly over this coming years. I know it's kind of all over the place when it comes to this company because they're not really focused on profits yet, but the profit cycle is coming in regards to Shopify, and it's going to be very exciting. Look at the operating cash flow. Oh my gosh. Look at the operating income of this company. Woo-wee, right? Shareholder equity. At the end of the day, Shop's just a really good company, really good buy. That's another one that has a rich valuation, though. To be fair, Shop, no doubt, it's not like this is some cheap stock that you look at and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so cheap. 2-year forward P. We're going out to a 2-year forward P here, which, by the way, almost no one provides this data. We do it on 1000X, and I love to do it, but like hardly anybody provides this data. 57 2-year forward P. So that's high. But how many companies can you really count on growing 20% plus revenues? There's not many. I'm having trouble thinking even one. I can't count on Google to do that. I can't count on Meta. I can't count on Amazon. Can't count on Tesla. I can't count on almost anybody. The one stock that just came to mind, Palantir. Outside of Palantir, I'm having trouble thinking of anybody that I could consistently count growing revenues 20% plus. It's really, really special and difficult to do that. And so they're kind of a freak company. I love holding them. They're the third biggest position in the Patreon portfolio. Then we have Cheesecake there. Nike, Win. Nike's going to be a fun one in the Patreon portfolio when that goes on its run, which hopefully it does. Oh my gosh, that's going to become a big weight in the portfolio. Win stock, I don't own this one in the public count. I love Win stock, by the way. Obviously their Vegas properties are top tier of top tier. The Macau properties are as well. They operate a great property in Boston. And then additionally, they're building that property in the Middle East right now. There's rumors out there of building a major property in Thailand. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. It would be very exciting and a very, very good opportunity if they were to do that. But we'll see what happens in regards to that matter. I can see it happening. From what I heard, word on the street is when executives were just out there in Thailand very recently, as in just in the past few weeks. That's word on the street. I can't confirm that. That's just, stuff I hear around town, okay? PayPal, obviously I spoke about PayPal, just, solid buy. Elf, we spoke about that one. Fubo, spoke about that one. Amazon, SoFi, Meta, Revolve. Meta, I might eventually end up selling in this portfolio. Not because, obviously, I love Meta. It's just a really silly position, and only I have 2 shares, and they're worth $1,200 in the portfolio. And so it just seems like it serves no purpose. And I can't buy more shares because I only deposit $250 a week. So I literally can't even buy more shares. So I don't know. We might end up cashing Meta at some point in time. Which, by the way, that reminds me, Meta pays out that dividend. And I think they're going to be going up on that dividend too. So Meta shareholders, it's always good to be a Meta shareholder, right? So this portfolio, and this doesn't account for all the dividends received in this portfolio or profits taken over the past couple of years, but just on current positions up $10,000+, and only one red position in the whole portfolio versus a public account has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red positions. So Patreon portfolio has 1, public account has 5. Now, do keep in mind, 1 and 2 of those positions that are red in the public account are -1%, -1%. So it's like they're barely red. But yeah, I love the Patreon portfolio. And by the way, if you ever want to join my Patreon, like let's say you're like, hey, you know, the private group might be too advanced, or, you know, which by the way, the private group is for everybody. But if you're like, you know, it's too intimidating and like 1000x and all that, and like, I don't know if I'm at that level, you can always join my Patreon. It's a second link in the description area, and you get to see the stocks I'm buying and selling each week with that link. Okay. There's also access to a Discord chat in there. It's not the private group's Discord chat, but it is another Discord chat that you have access to. So if you ever want to support my content plus be part of that Patreon, you can certainly do that. That's second link in the description area. Okay. Alrighty, let me take you into a private portfolio here, okay? Because this has always been something like people are always like, oh, I want to see a private portfolio. Like, what's in those private portfolios, man? What are in those guys? So what I'm showing you here, this is a $1 million portfolio I have. This was actually through Ally. Ally, the bank that basically most people know for high yield savings. I have a portfolio through them. I don't really like Ally that much. I'll just be honest with you guys. I still prefer Fidelity Investments greatly, but I do have a portfolio through them, so I thought I'd show you guys this portfolio, which is kind of interesting, right? So far, we're up $114,000 on the current positions in this particular portfolio, and it's just over $1 million. So what stocks do I hold in here? It must be some crazy positions that no one's ever heard of, right? Well, take a look. AMD. 2,111 shares of AMD here, up $14,000 on those ones so far. So hey, some AMD we're up on. Amazon, $51,000 position here, 255 shares. Cake, 1,700 shares, up $21,000. Once again, that does not include dividends received. Celsius, 777 shares here. It's a $28,000 position, up $6,900. EL stock. There's a $25,000 position here, 400 shares, up $5,640. Then we got ELF, 2,000. This is actually a really big position here. 2,720 shares of ELF here, $228,000 position, up $31,000 on those ones so far. Fubo, $39,000 position, 12,000 shares, up $21,000 so far. Honest, 10,300 shares, $49,000 position, down $2,200 so far. Nike, 2,000 share position, $120,000, down $10,700 so far. Shopify, 444 shares, $45,000 position, up $5,700 so far. And then SoFi Technologies, $44,000 position, 3,375 shares, up $14,000 so far. And then Winning Resorts, 555 shares, $50,000 position, down $534 on that one so far. So what did we learn by seeing one of Jeremy's private portfolios? It's not that exciting. It's the same freaking stocks. you know, everybody always like thinks there's going to be some like secret positions in the private portfolios, like some crazy companies no one's ever heard of, like, oh my gosh, it's got to be the rocket ships. It's the same freaking stuff. It's the same stuff. And it's been like that for the longest time. You know, when you see me out there buying stocks heavy, right? Like let's say back in the day when I was buying Tesla in the public account, right? Like what was that, 2018, 2019? Guess what portfolios I was also buying Tesla in? My private portfolios as well. When I was buying Palantir, guess what else I was buying in private accounts? Palantir. Like at the end of the day, all these stocks you see me buying. So if I'm out there saying, I love AMD here, it's a great buy, I'm buying in the public account, I'm buying in the Patreon portfolio, guess where else I'm also buying it? My private portfolios as well. It's the same exact thing. It's the same exact thing. So if you think like there's got to be some crazy hidden astronaut stocks they're going to go mine on Mars or something, no. It's the same positions. It's the same name of the game. And at the end of the day, almost all my portfolios end up pretty much like mirroring each other in terms of, you know, if I'm up huge in the public account in a day, let's say for instance, I'm going to likely be up huge in all my private portfolios as well. So if I make, like let's say I make, right, of course it's just portfolio changes. Let's say I'm up on a day $100,000 in the public account. Public account has a banger day up 100,000. Well, all of my private portfolios probably mirror the public account. And so it's just going to be like an excess bigger number. Same thing with downside. If the public account, we got a big market, whatever happens, and public account's down $100,000, guess what? My private portfolios are also going to be down immensely as well. They all pretty much end up mirroring each other. And so it's not that exciting. All these years, people have been wanting to see, let me see a private portfolio. There's not much going on there, man. It's the same exact crap. It's the same stuff. There's not like some secret, like hidden whatever, right? And obviously all my private portfolios are different amounts, right? The Ally is a different amount than other portfolios I have and things like that. But it's just the same stocks all mirroring each other at the end of the day, right? Now, obviously you guys got to see some of those portfolios there. Wherever you're at in your journey, it's brick by brick, man. It's brick by brick. How much I have is irrelevant. How much Warren Buffett has is irrelevant. How much Peter Lynch had was irrelevant, or whoever else, Bill Ackman, whatever. All that matters is where you're at, where you're going, like building brick by brick, building the numbers up bigger, right? I look at myself today, even if I take the public account and all my private portfolios and combine them, I still feel like I'm still like really early days here, like really early days, small amounts of money. And that's just where I'm at mentally in regards to like, I'm proud of what I've built, but at the same time, like, I'm not like, this is the end all be all. Like, this is still like the small amounts. Like, we're still in like the early process. Like, I really view your investing prime as being, I would really view your investing prime as kind of being 45 to 65. I'm 35 years old today. And I've been in the stock market for so long now, 16, 17 years now, right? But I'm still I'm not even close to my prime yet, technically. If you're an athlete, your prime is in your 20s. And by the time you hit 30s, you need to go look for a new profession, right? Like, you're old by that time. You try to be 40, look at LeBron. People are like, oh my gosh, he's ancient out there playing, right? 40 years old. And that's like a freak situation. In investing, it's totally different. Your investing prime is really 45 to 65, in my opinion. After 65, you can start falling off a little bit just because it starts to become harder and harder for you to adapt to new technologies, new business models, things like that. Doesn't mean it can't be done. It just gets more difficult, right? And then, I feel like kind of once you kind of reach your 40s, you're just seeing so many different market cycles. Even myself now, 16, 17 years in, I've seen so many crashes and corrections and bull markets. And some bull markets are like kind of weak bull markets. Other ones are like, oh my gosh, like, how do we make this much money every day? And so, just build brick by brick. It's a process. Understand it's a process. Be okay with that. It takes time. Even the public account, you say, it didn't happen overnight. That portfolio is from 2018. Look at the Patreon portfolio, now approaching $40,000, right? Which is a really impressive number given how small the deposits are, right? But at the end of the day, like, imagine where that portfolio is going to be 5 years from now, 7 years from now, 10 years from now. If we're looking at that portfolio 7 or 10 years from now, it's going to make today's numbers look like silly, like so small. Like, remember back in 2025 when we were talking about that portfolio was a little under $40,000? Imagine what that portfolio would be at 7 years from now, 10 years from now, after another bull market or two, and then buying the dip in another crash or two over that time. Oh my gosh. We could be talking about that portfolio easily several $100,000. But a potential of that portfolio being $500,000 to $1 million 7 years from now, right? Depending upon what type of returns I'm able to get in those different stocks. A lot of money, man. A lot of money. You got to build brick by brick, baby, okay? Appreciate y'all for joining me as always. Thank you so much for being here. If you're looking to apply to join private stock group, private wealth group, get access to 1000xstocks.com. Pin comment down there, click on that, fill the form, see if you get you access to that. If you want to join my Patreon and just see the stocks I'm buying and selling the Patreon portfolio each week, that will be linked in the description area down there. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Keep building. Much love and have a great day.